So we're going to talk about renting versus buying, but the unit itself is called home finance, okay? Got like I was eating oranges. My fingernails are all orange. Matches. Okay, so let's go through our booklet. We're going to go to page 3. And I'm going to just give you some pointers. Advantages of buying. So we're going to talk about advantages of buying a home. Okay? The nice thing about buying a home is that for the most part, you have a fixed monthly payment. This is on page 3. When you buy, you do what we call, you build equity. Equity is the amount that you own in the house. That goes up over time. You can stay as long as you would like. You don't, did you know that apartment blocks, if they change owners, if they want to renovate, they can kind of say, hey, you got to move, right? And when you buy, you don't have to worry about that. You may be able to cash in the appreciation over time, i.e. you can cash in the equity that has grown in the home, okay? This is another one. You have the freedom to do any home improvements that you would like. You can make additions, you can take down a wall, you can paint, you can add anything you want. Obviously, you have to get a permit, but you don't have to ask your landlord for permission to do so. I used to live in an apartment where I wasn't even able to paint the walls, right? I was able to get permission, but I had to paint them back to the original color before I moved out, okay? So there are some restrictions there. And I'll give you some more bullets here. This is important. So you build equity. I want you to have this written down. Value appreciates, right? The value of the home appreciates, so you build equity. This is a huge one for a lot of people. You may own pets, right? A lot of apartment buildings do not allow pets. If you own, whether it's a condo or a house, you can do so. You may have access to a yard. You can borrow money using the equity. This is huge. That's why, I don't know if you've seen people, they drive around with like the newest cars. And you're like, how do they do that? They throw it on their mortgage. Okay? So if your car payment is like $600, if you did it over 5 years, if you now put it on your mortgage, it's spread out over 25 years. And the payment is like a third, right, of what it is. So it's like, oh, nice. You still owe money, right? But now you're using the equity of your house. The bank is like, no problem. We know that your house is worth a lot, so here you go. Buy whatever you want. Buy a boat, buy a ATV, do whatever you want. Go on a trip. They'll borrow you money, okay? You can renovate at will. That's kind of how I summarize it. By the way, if someone asks you what's the benefit of owning a condo, please don't say I have access to a yard, right? That's probably a better one to use for a home. So you gotta kind of use them wisely. I would like to have at least 3 of these on your study sheet. I'd like to see 3 of those. Okay. Renting. Let's go to renting on page 4. going to 4 here. What are the advantages of renting? You don't need a large down payment, okay? You don't need a large down payment. You don't need to have $20,000 to rent. Thank goodness, right? It's good to rent, right? If you're traveling frequently for work and you need to relocate often, like let's say you're gonna work for a big firm and they need you to move places because they're growing, then maybe renting is better because it's easier to move. You have more flexibility to decide where you're gonna live. There are areas that are just impossible, well, not impossible, but very difficult to buy because it's so expensive. But you can afford to rent in that area and still have access to all those, the amenities that that area offers. You can usually move into the rental soon after finding the place. I don't know if you knew this, but when you buy a house, it often takes like 2-3 months for you to actually move in. Okay, that's part of your offer to purchase. You'll tell them when, because sometimes you have to sell your own house, you need some time. Sometimes the person selling says, it's not available until, like let's say I'm selling now. I would say it's not available until July 1st or July 3rd because I'm teaching, I want to finish the year, I want to pack everything up, then I want to move out. So you're making some conditions. So it's not as easy to move in as when you rent. It requires less upfront costs than buying a home. This is huge. This is probably the biggest one. You do not have to pay for maintenance. So if you're one of those people that just likes to this is my payment and I don't have to worry about anything going wrong in my apartment because the landlord takes care of it, then this renting is that's what you should do. Okay? So I will give you some bullet points. No large down payment required. Similarly to that, lower startup costs. And we're going to talk about startup costs later. So what I mean is, I will say this now, it doesn't mean much to you. No land transfer tax. You will realize that the land transfer tax alone is thousands of dollars that you're going to have to dish out when you buy a home. Nobody told me that on my first home. Okay. Lower maintenance costs. Landlord takes care of it. Or you could have said landlord is responsible. That's fine too, if you want to have it shorter. Utilities are usually included. What are utilities? Hydro, water, yeah. Heating, water, and sometimes cable, sometimes, or internet. Some buildings are offering free Wi-Fi these days. That's huge, right? Internet is not cheap. If you want if you want a good speed, then you might have to pay more. If you want to game online, probably not going to cut it. Easier to relocate. It is easier. It's not, you can't just drop your lease and move out, right? You got to give notice. I had to sign 1 year at a time. And so for that year, I was locked in. But you could find a sublet deal, like somebody comes in earlier, you just have to pay a little bit extra for that. I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. Let's keep going. So 5 and 6 are just reminding you the benefits of buying and selling. And by the way, I've just given you also downsides. What are the downsides of renting, for example? You don't build equity. You do build equity if you own, but you don't build equity when you rent, okay? What are downsides of owning? High maintenance costs. When you rent, low maintenance costs, right? So you can use those pros to find the cons for the other, okay? You just have to be creative. All right. Let's talk about equity here real quick. What is equity? Okay. So I'm going to give it my best shot here. This is all I've got. So there are two lines here that you see. Okay. At the very beginning, it's hard to see, but remember, imagine this is a very simple example. The value of your home is $100,000 that you buy. You put down $40,000. This is your down. Can't see that. Sorry, guys. But this is your down payment. This is therefore $60,000. Please write that in. Oh, my bad. This is not the down payment. I hope you didn't use a pen. Somebody's going to be mad at me right now. I know it. Let's try again. Let's assume there's a $100,000 home. You put $60,000 down. This is your down payment. Okay? How much do you still owe? $40,000, right? That's what we call the mortgage. Immediately, since you put $60,000 down, equity at the very beginning, in this case, is $60,000. Okay, so your equity to start is $60,000. I'm giving that a yellow, okay? As time goes by, the value of your home is increasing. Okay? Just on its own. You don't have to do anything. It's just going to go up. I should probably clarify. Why do house prices go up? Just 'cause. What happens to the land available in a city? There's less and less land available, right? More and more people moving in, more demand. Higher demand, higher house prices. Just like that. That's the basic idea. If nobody would want a house, your house would not go up in value. It's supply and demand, okay? And then at the same time, as you're paying off your mortgage, as time goes by, the amount you owe goes down to zero, okay? $0 that you owe at the end. And so at any given time, this is time down here, time in years. So there's two graphs at the same time. How much you owe them and how much the value of your home is going up. So guess what? As time goes by, let's say you decide to sell here. Let's say 10 years go by, you decide to sell. Your equity has expanded twofold. It has expanded twofold. So let's say here your equity is $150,000. This is just an example. Okay. So as you own your home, two things happen. You owe less, the value goes up. So there's a twofold effect here. And by the time you're done paying off, the value of your home is still going up. Your equity is still going up. Okay. So this is why you want to own a home, because it is an investment. It is. Sure, I would argue that if you add up all the bills and all the maintenance, it better go up in value because you're spending a lot of money maintaining your house. But for some people, it's still worth it because at the end of the day, when you're about to retire and you need money, you can just sell your house and there you have $500,000 or more, right, sitting in the house. So that's what equity is. You want the definition? I have a definition for it. Here it is. I'm just underneath this, if you wouldn't mind. Equity is the amount you keep if you sell and pay off the balance. If you pay off the balance owing. So it's the amount you keep if you were to sell the house. So let's say you sell it for $500,000. You owe $200,000 on it. Equity is $300,000, right? So what you would keep in your pocket at the end of the day. Equity grows due to increase in value and decrease of balance owing. This is, in a nutshell, why equity is so powerful. The bank will borrow you money knowing you have equity in the home. And it's very tempting, though. It's very tempting. You're like, oh, I'm just going to throw my nice, brand new Toyota Tacoma. I need a Toyota Tacoma. I think I need it, right? I'm not pulling anything. I'm never driving in like off-road conditions, but I need it, right? And so you're like throwing it in there, $60,000, and then you're like, ooh, right now I owe more. So be careful with that, but it is powerful, okay? I'm going to stop there for this part.